Here you go. Muted, there we are. All right, good evening. Today is March 9th, 2026, and the Mid-Rogue Fire District Board of Directors will now call this meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. If you would call the roll, please.
Yes, Director McGowan,
Here.
Director Benetti,
Yes.
and Director Owenby.
Here.
Director Weidling is excused, and Director Jones.
Here. And staff is present, Cassie Austin, making sure we keep on the straight and narrow and taking notes. All right, if everybody will stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Okay, moving down. Item 2 on the agenda, approval of the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
All right. I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, take the roll, please.
Director McGowan,
Yes.
Director Benetti,
Yes.
Director Owenby,
Sorry, yes.
and Director Jones.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Right. Moving down, item 3, approval of the minutes. Everybody got a chance to look over the minutes from the last meeting?
Good.
Did we find any issues, errors, things that need to be changed, added?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes as they are, pending any other changes. Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the meetings as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Director McGowan,
Yes.
Director Benetti,
Yes.
Director Owenby,
Yes.
and Director Jones.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Okay, Secretary Treasurer's report. Our Secretary Treasurer is still on vacation. However, there were a few checks wrote. I do not have the totals of the balance in our account, but the checks that were written were as follows. Get to my, all right, we had one for the Merlin Park and for $75. We had one to the Daily Courier for $22.70 and 40 cents, excuse me, $227.40. And then we had one to Mrs. Wilkerson for the purchase of our first district vehicle for $27,000. So once Director Weidling returns, he will get all of our banking tallied back up and give us a balance. All right, any questions on that? Hearing none, we'll move out of item 4 and into item 5, public comment. This time, the public has 3 minutes to comment on anything pertaining to today's agenda or district matters. Do we have anybody wishing to speak today? And none online, so we'll move right out of 5 and into 6, old business. Item 6A, interview process discussion. So, the interview process discussion, because we had originally set the 21st as the interview date, and the place we were going to try to get was the ODF training facility. However, in speaking with them, there's nobody there on Saturdays yet because they're not fully staffed. And so the suggestion was made to check with emergency management. I went over there and they are all locked up. So
Need another option.
we could do it here, but we would have to stagger them to where, make sure that nobody comes in during the,
Redoing the parkway.
it has to be within the district.
Hey,
Our
Mark,
meetings-
how about search and rescue building? I know they have a training room out there.
That's where I went, because emergency management and search and rescue building are all in the same compound, and the whole compound was locked up.
I have access
So,
both.
well, but
I
we
just have
need to
to check
get
with Joe and
clearance to
and,
do it, yeah.
I I can research that and get back to everybody tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, if you don't mind.
Actual meeting, do we need that district? That's not
Yeah, well,
it's a,
hiring process.
With SBA and see what their opinion is on it.
Yeah,
just thinking out of districts where they have processes.
Choosing with fire stations, but fortunately, everything's the way it is.
yeah. Well, just per, per ORS, our meetings are supposed to be held within the district. That's why we had to move them. When we first started, we didn't have any place, so we did them at the Parkway Station. And then we moved them here as soon as we could, so we could double check with that, check with SDAO and see if there's a,
Meantime, I'll check with
yes, okay.
I'll check with the STAR and emergency management.
So worst
Emergency
case,
management would be a little tough because we don't really have we could move them into one side, like the SAR building
Yeah.
for holding and then emergency manager
have
building.
in that
for-
office,
Yeah,
yeah, that's what I was thinking,
because all the offices right there are not very soundproof, so.
yeah. But like I said, they were all locked up the other day when I stopped there, so it's during the week. And the other option is like I said, we could do it here. Just stagger, make sure that they're staggered far enough apart, so that there's no overlapping, yeah. And then just wait out in the parking lot till,
Put a sign up on the door,
Yeah.
candidates, please wait in your vehicle.
yeah,
When there's not gonna be a lot of vehicles, so we can
Yeah.
figure it out.
yeah.
Okay.
So, all right.
I will check
Any
on
further
that.
discussion on that? Vinny, you got anything you want to throw in?
No, I agree. If we do it at the location we're currently sitting, I would just recommend we get someone to be outside the door as a greeter and not just a sign.
Okay.
Okay. District boundary update. I have not received anything back from our legal counsel on that. I was hoping to have something by this afternoon. So we're still at the same stage in moving forward with what was decided on during our executive session, or coming out of executive session. So,
Status quo.
yep. And Dropbox update, item 6C. So it's been set up. There are a few folders designed that are shared amongst everybody. As we go along, we'll try to break that down and have folders within those folders that will separate everything. So all the agendas will be in one spot, all the minutes, approved minutes will be in one spot. Minutes for review would be in one spot so that everything's kept separate in there, and then we can just log in, see everything, so we're not sending so much stuff back and forth through email anymore. And then plus it does also allow us to upload 100 megabytes, whereas emails are limited to 20, maybe 25 at the most.
I'll put the audio recordings in the meetings in a folder there too,
Yeah.
under office and then meeting audio recordings or whatever they're called.
Okay. Yeah, those still need to be updated or uploaded to YouTube as well. But there is issues, and I think a couple of you had problems because of your personal Dropboxes, and logging out of one to log into the other is going to
Somehow, not the actual council.
switch back and
Like
forth.
you do without,
Oh, maybe.
so instead of training.
If you do, let me know.
Both.
I looked this morning and all it said is you can't have both unless your personal is an executive account, and then you can have a dual login.
But that's what I'm just curious about, to get rid of. First, what you get personally.
Do you have, do you have,
Just log out of it and then log into your district ID. You just can't be in both at the same time.
unless you have two different devices, then you could have one logged into one and one the other. Were you having any issues with it, Vinny? Were you able to get into Dropbox and?
No, I got in and got set up. I haven't played with it.
Okay.
It's on my phone.
So if there's any shared folders that you want created, just let me know and we'll create them in the office account so that it makes sure everybody gets them.
I already uploaded all of the policies into the one in the office that says policies.
Perfect. Okay, any further discussion on Dropbox? All right, hearing none, we'll move into item 6D, which is the soundboard installation update. And Vinny, I'm going to ask you on that. Have we done anything to move forward with deadening the echo in this room?
So I got a recommendation from Chief Nelson to go through a sound professional company, and I'm waiting for a call back from them. I'll reach out to him again tonight after the meeting and leave a message. And that's where I'd like to go, just make sure we're doing it professionally and it's done right the first time.
Copy that. All right, thank you. Yeah.
Zero.
All right. Any further discussion on the soundboard project? All right, moving out of old business into new business. 7A, committee reports, and we'll start with staffing. Okay. Okay.
And what you just brought up would be secure location, create a schedule. I guess I would have notification of.
So have the ones moving forward been notified?
Yes.
Okay. So the ones not moving forward, I believe a letter was being created?
Yes.
Okay, it's done. Has that been sent out? Or
Oh,
do we need to approve that tonight and then
No,
send it out? Well, as the staffing committee,
I just did that.
without objection, I would suggest that the staffing committee move that forward to be sent out. Any objection?
Benny, are you objecting to that?
Nope, should be.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Okay, so without objection, if you two can move that letter forward to get the, those who were not selected notified. We, our selection process ends on the 13th, so as long as it's sent out before then. That was the window for the selection process. So,
By the 13th, yeah.
Cassie, can we get that to you to send out to?
Absolutely.
And that's the letter for the, both. Okay.
okay. Anything more for staffing? How about training? Anything?
Other than, well, I did have, but
Oh,
I just want to
well-
make sure you guys got the questions.
Back into staffing, then we'll, yeah. So the questions that were sent out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got those.
Yep.
And it's fine, move forward. If not, I'll make changes.
I didn't see any need for changes. Did, Vinny, did you see any need for changes on the document that Randy sent out?
No, I read through it before the meeting.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, you did a good job.
This is,
Score sheet. Yeah.
Good.
Perfect.
That'll work.
Okay. All right. Anything else for staffing?
Nope.
Okay. Moving into training. Anything for training today? All right. Moving right down the line. Communications. We have nothing new for communications. Policy. Vinny, I know you were going to start working on a policy. Did you start that process?
Yeah, I wanted to just brief everybody. I was going to send it to you last night, but so I started looking at a driving district vehicles policy for the board members, and I was looking at references to other special districts, fire districts in Oregon, and seeing how their policies read. The only other policies that I could find that mentioned board members driving vehicles was basically under the personnel policy, not a separated policy. So I kind of felt like, yes, we need to make sure that's included, but I also feel like that's something that we need to have the new staff member, when they write their personnel policy handbook, that we need to make sure that that's part of that policy instead of creating our own. The idea was because Randy and I were talking about the vehicle purchase, and we both kind of mentioned maybe we need to have something in there about running board members through DMV checks, background checks, that we're not just putting somebody in a vehicle that we don't even know if they could drive, or has problems with it. So that's why the discussion came up, and we want to make sure we're covered in the future. But I also feel like that executive position is going to be the key in making sure that policies are straight in that regards. So I'd hate to create that will before it gets written by the chief or the chief executive director.
Well, we could always add that into policy 2025-001, which was our board duties policies, which outlined everything for the board. We could always amend that and add it to that if that's something you want to do.
That might be easier. Basically just doing a quick DMV background check. But I would encourage us to consider doing that once a year. That way, those of us that are in a longer than 1 year office can be checked, and that could be updated. I would hope that we would be honest with the district and let us know that there'd be a problem with our driving records. Just like I say, trying to protect the district in the future. But yeah, I agree. We could throw that in as a requirement on the board members that we successfully pass, or just have driving records done. I don't feel a board member that doesn't even have a driver's license wouldn't be allowed to be a board member. It's just to clarify they shouldn't be driving or operating a vehicle that's owned by the district.
All right. Well, if you want to continue working on that policy to have it as an amendment to our board duties policy, then we could do that and just add in that a copy of your DMV report is required if you are a current driver's license holder.
Okay. I'll get something in draft and get it out for people to review. So at our next meeting, we can make that happen.
Okay. Awesome. Sounds good. And moving back into another committee that you're in, the prevention committee. Anything going on with that?
Nothing new to report. I did send off a email to the state and haven't gotten anything back, so I'm going to start following with phone calls.
Okay. Sweet. All right, and coming down to our last committee of the evening, the Vehicle Acquisition Committee.
Yes, we have a vehicle. We purchased the Ford Expedition and get into, we can talk about it now.
Yeah.
I think I sent a text to Vinny, the cost of getting the Z-Flash module to put in it, which would save a whole lot of money in setting up the lights. It would just use the OEM lighting. And if we wanted to add additional lights to the visor and the rear window, we can do that separate from that. But it was, I don't remember, I believe it was $350.
$350 for the Z module?
Yeah. And that just plugs into the OBD2 port in the vehicle, and there's a switch that comes up, and we can program it. And I mean, there's just a wide variety of stuff. We'll have to follow state law on lights flashing, headlights flashing when you're parked and so forth, because those have to be turned off. That's all stuff I can work on. The other issue, if it was my personal vehicle, it has the auto stop.
Take that out.
And it's another $80 for the module for that. I tried to bypass it, but being a multiplex system, it has to receive an on-off signal every time you start the vehicle. So it has a switch up on the above the radio. And so putting a switch in it to just turn it off doesn't work. You have to have the module.
So for my Cadillac, there's a little pigtail about this long that goes into that main loop, and it bypasses that. So it's always off. It was a $12 part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For Cadillac.
For Cadillac. So
I'll do some more research on it, but what I've found so far is that the only way to avoid that is just to purchase that module.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's definitely something we need to make sure it doesn't
yeah, that's
shut
a pain.
off all the time. Yeah.
So,
Okay. So that one does not plug into the to the port. It's its own little module in the
It plugs
system.
into the OBD2 port too. So that price that I give you for the Z Flash included a splitter harness.
Oh, okay.
So you can
That's
plug
what I
it in
asked.
behind
I do
it.
two of them.
And
Okay.
I can do another one of those splitter cables so that we have everything hidden and it leaves the OBD2 port. That cable is actually fairly inexpensive. I think it was 40 bucks or something like that, 35 bucks.
So we're gonna need two splitters?
Yep.
And just to
Splitter
clarify,
times.
when Randy and I talked about lights on this vehicle, we wanted to try and keep it clean. The Z Flash was the quickest, easiest way to put in something that uses an already existing system. And it was economical. So again, we're not foreseeing the future and saying that this is the forever vehicle, but if we need to invest a full code 3 package in it down the road, we can. But right now that gives safety the top priority.
Doesn't address the siren issue if that's something that we feel is necessary. I don't really think so at this point, but if that's an option, and I honestly just have been too busy writing policies and everything else, but I will look into something that's small. I think the center console is probably a good place for that stuff, because that way it covers us out of the sun, and then we need to address a radio in it. So
the Z module is more for just on-scene safety with,
without a
Hazard
siren, you
lights.
can only use it one
Right.
part.
right,
You know.
yeah. That's
Right.
really probably all that it's gonna need at this point in time.
Just advance warning is
Yeah.
really what it's for. And if we're good with just that, oh yeah, that makes my job easier.
Yeah,
And I think the radio is a priority over code 3 lights or sirens,
Yeah.
as well as a safe decals.
Vinny was working on the decal project. Did you get anything done with that?
I sat
Excited
here
to do
and
it.
was drawing on the computer all kinds of ideas. But you said you have somebody that we can send it to come up with some artwork. My biggest concern is not going with an old traditional square graphic, but try to do something a little more modern. But also, we got to remember that this is going to be our billboard going around, driving around the public. So if we have something that has graphics on it from the 80s, it's gonna kind of carry maybe a personality of who we are. So I just want to make sure that we're looking at a fresh graphic idea, and with your contact, it might be better to let them help design it.
Yeah, it's a company that I've used when I worked at the city. And they'll do 2 changes and then they'll charge for it after that. So I have the pictures of the vehicle, the front, the back, and the sides. And I have our Maltese cross we want to use on it. But I just need authorization to ship that stuff to her and have her work on a package. And I also have the picture that I got from you of that engine and the way the stripe was. No, that came from Mark, excuse me. That came from Mark. And I can send that to her and then I can, bring it back to the board. Shouldn't take her very long to put it together with what I have.
Yeah, I can redraw those tonight and send you all those pictures. What I was looking at for adding a red reflective safety stripe,
Mm-hmm.
but we got to keep in mind we want room on the doors for the badge. So I'll redraw those and send them out to you tonight.
Do we want the chevron on the back?
I
I think it's
think we need to have
required, I
chevron.
believe.
But
I
I
believe
don't
it's
know about red.
required. Red and yellow.
I don't think we have to have red and yellow on a command vehicle. I think it just has to be opposing. So it could be the reflective and non-reflective.
I'll look that up. It's one of the questions that I had reached out to a couple of contacts to try to get, so NFPA 1901, which controlled the rules and regulations for fire apparatus, but basically all apparatus, that was merged in 2014, I believe, and now it is NFPA 2400. I could be wrong on that number. Anyhow, my contact didn't have access to the regs anymore, and so I need to try a different resource because I don't. It's expensive to have a contract with them.
Yeah.
So I need to get the new rules and regulations to find out what's required.
Maybe
So I
a good
would-
source is going through your contact with Brindley? Because I'm sure he knows all the data requirements.
I didn't try them, actually. I tried RM, and so I'll move on from there.
So I would,
Actually, Steve's in the meeting. Maybe he's got some input on that.
Chief Nelson, do you have any input on that?
Yes, we do. Well, technically, we have access to NFPA. I am still attempting to get the login to be able to do that, and then I could, work with Randy on the sections that he needs information on.
Okay, that'd be helpful, but I just need to look at the laws. They're kind of different from what I was there.
They've made lots of changes.
Thank you, sir. I would move that without objection, we let Randy proceed with sending it off to whoever it needs to go to for a decal,
Advanced graphics.
advanced graphics.
And, Carol,
No, they'll create the pack. Yeah, they'll create it.
And so being transparent, I like to use local vendor for that. In my past experience, Advanced Graphics was about half the cost of getting them done locally, and the quality has been great. So I will still.
Somebody local will have to install them, right?
They don't have to. They can cut them out and give them to us. We can install them. I put a lot of them on.
Have you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I would probably prefer that we take it to somebody, but
Yeah.
it's not a stopping point. So,
Hey, Randy, we've used RJ to build the banners and different things. Visual effects graphics on Redwood Avenue. And they do an amazing job. So if we got the artwork done, they could even cut the vinyl for us or give us a price on that too.
All packaged together.
okay. That's an option. Go ahead and do what you're working on, Vinny, and get it to me, and then I can take my stuff down. I can take the vehicle down there and let them give us a quote. Get an idea what it is we want. We know we want the Maltese cross on the driver's door on both sides. Front door, I guess I should say.
Yeah, and my big thing is just making sure we keep it clean and tasteful, because again, it's going to be out in public awareness and how do you say it, campaigning type meetings and stuff. So we just want to make sure it comes across as a tasteful representation of who we are, where we're going.
If there's any other stuff like 911, want to put that on the back window or whatever you think we need on there, shoot it to me too. We'll put a package together.
Yep, we'll talk. I'll be back on the 17th so we can meet before our next meeting.
Okay.
So without objection, the vehicle acquisition committee can move forward with that.
Okay.
All right. Hearing none, we'll do that.
Perfect.
All right. Did you have, go ahead.
Other thing.
That's all right. Go ahead.
I have 3 applications here for credit for vendors that would be helpful. I have Carson's, which would be for fuel. And that is the one on 7th and A, the one on F Street on the right.
7th and A is Pacific Pride.
Okay, then
Now, when you
Carson's the
apply
one
for
up.
Carson's card locks, you'll get CFN, Pacific Pride, and Hayes Oil, which is
Did you
now-
get them all?
Yes.
Okay.
There's the one up on Vine Street also. And they used to have the one on Redwood Highway, but that one is no longer theirs. Yeah, it is, but it's not theirs anymore.
It's not
So I asked
Carson's.
about it. So anyhow, I have that application. I have one for Bachford and also have one for Les Schwab. Now, Les Schwab does service vehicles now, and I confirmed that when I talked to him.
Okay.
So price-wise, we'd have to check it out, but at some point, we're probably gonna need Les Schwab anyhow, so I would like to hand these off to our Secretary Treasurer
Okay.
to be filled out, and I'm sure you've got all
Yeah.
the ID numbers and so forth.
Okay. We will get those to.
If there's any other that
Director
anybody
Weidling.
can think of that we need, why we can do that.
Hey, Randy, that Carson application will get you CFN network, Civic Pride network, and then the local network. So that cards
Yeah.
will work anywhere in the state with those services. So it's not just
They will, and he warned me when I picked up the application that if you do not use one of their stations, that they don't have control over pricing, and some of the pricing can be 40, 60 cents a gallon more than what theirs is locally.
Correct. I have that for my personal business account, and I use the CFN there in Redwood Highway, and it's about 15 cents cheaper than the pump if I go to a retail, but it is a hair more expensive than the old Hayes oil one. So it's a good deal to have, especially if our staff person's going out of town and needs to get fuel.
Yep. Well, I have.
Okay, we'll get that to Director Weidling so he can fill in the blanks and get it sent off. Okay. All right, anything else for vehicles? That's it, all right. Moving out of item 7A and into 7B, Budget Committee Workshop and Meeting Schedule. So it's getting to be that time of year where we need to get something on the books and scheduled and make sure that all of our committee or our Budget Committee members can make it. So I know we are in the middle of this hiring process, and our regular meetings, but April would probably be a good time to do it. And we need to schedule a day that Director Nelson from the county could also join us to kind of go over how the process works, since she did our original, our first budget before we were all elected. So I know our dates for, let me pull that up if I can find it. Or just don't want to have it conflict with anything else. So we have the 21st for interviews, 30th, and so basically we could move into the second week of April without any issues other than our general board meeting.
I was asked by one of the budget committee members too, because trying to schedule
Right.
their stuff.
Yeah, that's why I figured we needed to get it going here. So
I'm open.
we could, yeah, depending on what's going on in the general meeting, we could hold it directly following a general meeting, so that's the same night.
Actually, Mark, that might be an issue because remember back when we did our interviews, they couldn't do Monday.
Oh,
They wanted to do
that's right.
Thursdays. Yeah.
That's right.
Thursday is open for me. If you want to do it on the 16th.
Do Thursday, the 16th for the workshop. So April 16th, Budget Committee Workshop.
See what time.
One of them had an issue with time, right? So 6 o'clock was, yeah, because I think it was the 5:30 that she couldn't make, right? Yeah. Okay, so 6 p.m. on the 16th. Does that work for everybody? Okay. All right, and then if you want, we can wait till that workshop and get the whole budget committee to decide on the actual scheduling of our budget committees.
I'd say we should do
Rather
that.
do that?
That way everybody's right here and they can
Yeah,
work it out.
at least we get the process started, because, I mean, it's not like we have a big budget to worry about, but it still needs to be done and processed in time, so.
But a couple of the budget committee members are actually working on other budgets, so.
Right, yeah.
And we'll
Okay,
make sure.
so if we could have you reach out to the budget committee members and make sure that the 16th at 6 p.m. here
Yes.
works for all of them.
Yes.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Hey, Mark, how do you feel about the current board members sponsoring dinner for that night?
The district sponsoring
Or no, the
dinner?
district, no, us personally, the directors. Like we talked before, bringing the barbecue in, making sure that everybody's fed. Not
That
a
may
cost
make
to
the
district.
right, but that may make the meeting go longer than it needs to go for some.
Okay,
So, I mean, I don't,
I think I'd rather just have everybody eat before and come in and get business done and move out. I like the idea, but
got it.
oh. All right. All right, any more on the Budget Committee workshop meeting schedule? All right, hearing none, we'll move into item C, accountant services. So if I put this out that there was a hiccup in a process that should have been done prior to the 31st of January. And so the idea of maybe having an accountant service that takes care of all these things for us. At this time, I know there's probably only a couple items, but at least getting that accountant service set up. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it needs to happen. It makes it a liability for us to not have
Right.
that service, so.
Right,
As we get into payroll services,
because that's coming. Yeah, yeah.
some of it's kind of all
So
encompassing.
who
That'd be good.
who is currently, who is Evans Valley using currently? There's an outfit in Medford, right? For accounting services.
Well, no, for accounting, we use a service that is in district in Will River.
Oh,
For our audit,
that's
we
the one in
do it
Medford.
out of which is much more reasonable than the organization up north that runs most special district
Right.
audits.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to figure out what would be the most cost effective for us, because
And so John Adam, I think,
you have that contact information?
yeah,
Okay. You could shoot that to me, I'll get with Ralph, and then we'll move that forward as
I
well.
would think it'd be fairly inexpensive right now for us.
Right now.
Because there's, it's nothing big, no?
it's straight beach.
Oh, really?
District, do an audit, it is.
Oh, for an audit, but I'm setting up to do the books.
So, yeah, the service we use all seasons tax.
All seasons. Okay.
And they are very,
And they're,
a phenomenal job, and they can do all of the accounting, tax work, credit, all of those.
and they're familiar with the districts and stuff, so that's what I wanted. Yeah.
And
What's it, all season?
All seasons.
just as a side note, when we get together with our budget committee, I'm pretty sure one or two of those people have some good input on
Well, yeah.
somebody to use as well. Sure.
Yes, you could probably
Yeah.
do that.
That's why I just said, we might want to just wait if we can. If we have an urgent need to get, things worked out, then we'll do it.
Well, I mean, if it's late, it's already late, right?
Okay?
Okay, all right. Moving out of that, and during our special, so item 7D, computer repair, during our special meeting the other night, there was issues with this computer and on Zoom, and it seems, it's done it here during our meetings before. In the middle of the meeting, this screen will go blank. Luckily here, we have it hooked up to the TV, so we can still see everything. However, I'm doing it the other night for the special meeting. Once it went blank, it shut down. And obviously there was the issues trying to communicate with everybody. So I did a thing through Dell Service. It hasn't done it yet this evening, but I would still like to take it in and have somebody actually look at it to make sure that it's no other issue. So without objection, I would like the approval to take it into somebody.
No objection.
See, yes. May have some adjustment.
Yeah. I think he might be a little busy.
Yeah, I would say just take it to somebody that you
Okay.
trust, and
Do you have any recommendations?
a little place on the right-hand side of Sixth Street. You come into town, it's right by the little trailer park, and I can't remember the name of the place. but
Oh,
I can tell you,
yeah, I know
I've
where-
used him and he done pretty good work.
I know where it's at. It's right at it's the entrance to, Rogue Valley Overnighters.
Pretty close, yes.
No, it's on Sixth Street.
It's on Sixth Street on the right-hand side, there's a little bitty building, and there's an RV park right there beside of it. I can't think of the name, he's got a sign up there. It's on the
Yeah,
side.
I know which place you're talking about. And he's still in business?
Yeah,
Okay. All right, run it into him, have him check it out.
my laptop, I need to take into him as well, because I need to
Okay.
get formatted.
All right, well, moving out of new business, going into item 8, correspondence. Did we get any mail? Looks like we might have got some mail.
We got some bills.
Oh, boy, just what I always wanted.
So there is a statement from the Daily Courier. We had to run a couple of ads for the job vacancy, and then we extended that. So I
Right.
put in a notice for the extension. So there is a statement, and
Okay, so the 227 that was paid the other day, we're only at 139.
correct, and here's the actual invoice showing. So you have a statement and the actual invoice
Awesome.
for that.
Okay,
We did get a statement just from our bank, so that's just regular monthly statement. SDIS has sent us a
a bill
bill for $553.
for adding the vehicle on.
Yes,
Yep.
I know Director Weidling's going to be so excited to come back to all this.
Yep.
Is that for a year?
Let's see, auto physical damage, let's see, the whole thing. Yes, that's for the remainder of our policy, yeah, so that's not bad, actually.
So it'll probably be every 6 months, that's how we pay it, we pay annually.
Believe we're annually.
So that's fine, I was just
Let me
curious.
see here, effective 226. Term, yeah, till December 31st, so it's the remainder of the term. That's actually pretty cheap. That's
8 months,
till we get,
9 months.
yeah.
And then for our legal counsel.
Oh, for the emails,
yeah.
the emails sent back and forth regarding the boundary.
Correct.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
How much is that?
So it is $876 for 6 email correspondences. Well, actually, that does not include
One
our special district, or our special meeting either. Oh,
So more to come.
yep, all right.
is what it is.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Alltech,
What's it called?
Alltech Computers.
All Tech Computers. Okay. All right, we'll get it in there. Okay, and moving into item 9, additional matters of the board. Open floor for board reports, requests, or comments. Anybody have anything? Benny, we'll start with you since you're in another town.
No, I was just gonna make a comment that I appreciate us being flexible using Zoom and keep up the good work.
Thanks, sir. Anything?
Nothing new.
All right. Nothing new to report here either. So without objection, I would move to adjourn the meeting at 6:14 PM.
So moved.
All right, we'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Good night.
Thanks, Ben.